believe that bill will impact him at all. So it's just like Mr. Citron back in '94, even though he put the county in bankruptcy, he still got all of his pension.
John, so when in consulting with county council on this issue of the interim sheriff, since Joanne Gillespie turned it down, do you think that Carona then doesn't get to say who interim sheriff is? Do you guys get to say that until you then appoint?
That's something that's being researched by county council, and that's, again, everything is so nice and fresh and new, Peggy, that we don't know. Do we have a interim with 4 people being the interim sheriff? And we're waiting to find out about that.
So in other words, the board is not accepting Anderson as the handpicked successor automatically. You're going to review that and determine whether that is legally accurate.
Absolutely, we want to make sure it is, because state code says you start with your undersheriff. But if you have 4 assistant sheriffs, then what do you have? You have a 4-headed, group that co-leads the sheriff. Do you determine based on seniority? Do you based on what? And I apologize that wasn't clarified to me before this meeting.
John, just, in the past, when the sheriff made Joanne Gillespie the undersheriff, is that something he was able to do unilaterally, or did he have to go to the board for any kind of confirmation or approval of that?
When you're a department head, you select your key managers, so that's not an issue that would come before the board of supervisors.
So he could technically, his resignation is not effective till like 11:59 tonight, I understand. So I mean, it's possible he could name Jack Anderson undersheriff today, still.
He could probably try that, and we still want to figure out what would happen to Dan Martini.
Do you know what happened to Martini?
That's something we're also researching to see what would require Sheriff Carona to relieve Mr. Martini, who's also an outstanding assistant sheriff of his position. We're not sure about that at this time either, but we are researching.
Did you have any indication that there was any problems between the sheriff and Martini?
Follow up with Peggy,
okay.
Because she's the lead reporter here.
Ben's got kicked out.
Is that better this time?
Thank you.
Okay, well, go ahead, you had just follow-up question.
Were you disappointed that Martini was fired?
Yes, I am.
Why?
Mr. Martini has been really good to work with. We certainly appreciated his candor and his advice as we've been progressing on several fronts with the Sheriff's Department. So I think he's an outstanding public servant.
Do you think it's because he was working in your civilian review panel?
I don't want to speculate.
Would you expect, John, we'll have tomorrow at least an announcement on who the interim, we'll get the clarification from county council?
Well, we should have some fun at our board meeting tomorrow and getting some of that all, understood and clear and specific, because we certainly need to have some clear direction moving forward.
Mr. Moorlach, just a dumb question. I'm just curious. How can there be so many? How can there be so much confusion by the supervisors who run Orange County about what's going to happen next in the sheriff's department? And there's this mishigas over 4 undersheriffs vying for I'm not sure what. Why is there so much confusion about it?
I don't know if there's confusion. It's just we want to get more specific. I guess if I were to be a little humorous, I'd say we're run by attorneys, and we have to see what the attorneys say about what the code says and how we proceed, so we're all very clear. And I've tried to contact Mr. Anderson to let him know that we're trying to get some clarity here, and I haven't heard back from him, but at least we're trying to narrow it down so that we're all on the same page.
So at the end of the day in Orange County then, the person who picks the next sheriff is the one going out. The Supes don't have anything to do with it?
Let me start over.
I mean, this
State
sheriff.
code says that if the sheriff resigns, that the undersheriff is the interim. But the undersheriff took a demotion to assistant sheriff. We have 4 assistant sheriffs. So now how do you select of those 4 is the interim? We don't have that determined at this point. But in the meantime, the Board of Supervisors will conduct a search and will select the next sheriff for the County of Orange. And that is what we are working on as promptly as we can, but also in a methodical and appropriate and thorough manner with full and open disclosure.
Is part of the board's research into Mr. Martini's position, does that include whether you can restore him to his position?
could be part of the process, exactly.
You were the first supervisor to call for Carona to resign, and the loudest since then. I mean, personally, is there any kind of validation for what you've been asking for the past 60-plus days?
Well, we're having some fun here in Orange County with department heads or elected countywide officials that are getting very distracted in doing their jobs. And having been a countywide elected official, now a board member, this job is all-consuming. And if you have legal issues and criminal indictments hounding you, I don't know how you do your job. I just don't know. So that's why we said immediately it would be a good thing for the county, it would be a good thing for the sheriff's department, it would be a good thing for the sheriff and his family that he step aside and focus on these issues. And if Mr. Carona is found innocent and everything was wrong with the federal prosecutors, then I'd be there to help him get reelected if that was something we could do in the future.
Of all the candidates that you know so far, is Mr. Anderson about the only one that has the political credentials so plugged in?
Well, to repeat, 4 of the people that would love to also serve as sheriff have already gone through the election process. 1 ran against Mr. Carona in '98, and 3 ran against him in '06, and all 4 have expressed an interest.
No, but I mean as far as being part of the political
Well, that's part of the political process. If you run for office, you know the process.
Just one question, in terms of background, Civilian Oversight Board, this was brought to Sheriff Carona and he had objections to it?
Correct.
And
But his assistant sheriffs have been working closely with our department. They've been very helpful in looking at how we could structure something. We certainly have really come to appreciate the model out of LA County. Sheriff Lee Baca instituted an Office of Independent Review right after he was sworn in. We've been working very closely with Mr. Janako, who runs that department in LA County, and have worked with all of the affected departments here at the County of Orange to move forward in that regard, and we should be having that on our agenda, I believe, on either the 29th of January or the 5th of February.
So as background, you're considering doing an independent review similar to our LA County, or what are you saying? Sorry, I
No,
don't,
that's okay.
I don't cover
That's
your
okay.
county.
This is
So
my
it's
first
all-
press
it's a
conference. I'm learning.
confusing- It's a confusing topic.
um,
So what are you gonna do with LA County's model for independent review?
We are going to try and replicate it here in the County of Orange.
Thank you.
Well,
Would that be one of the criteria for a sheriff, someone who likes the idea, accepts the idea, done of an overview board?
yes,
Citizen.
yes. I think that would be a criteria for me. An Office of Independent Review works best when it starts from the top and the sheriff himself or herself advocates it. It's been a very successful program when Sheriff Baca brought it in. Their litigation settlements have decreased by 2/3. It's been fully embraced by their Internal Affairs Department, and it has been a very successful model, and it also fits in with legislation and court decisions. So we see it as a way to provide, like a good housekeeping seal of approval on internal investigations. We think the public will appreciate it. It's good for the sheriff, it's good for the Board of Supervisors, and it's good for the public. And I see that as a great opportunity to pursue.